Welcome to your personalized deep dive into the world of Exide Industries. We've got a ton of information for you today. Earnings, call transcripts, investor presentations, we've got it all.
Well, really, the whole shebang.
The whole shebang. From our mission today. To uncover the secrets of Exide's recent performance, their leap into the lithium-ion battery arena, and how they're riding the wave of India's evolving battery landscape.
Yeah, what's really interesting here is how Exide, a company with a long history in lead-acid batteries, is making this strategic play to be a leader in the future of energy storage.
It's like they're transforming from like a sturdy workhorse into a sleek electric race car, but still keeping that reliable engine running.
Exactly.
So let's pop the hood and see what's powering this transformation. First up, their Q2 and H1 FY25 performance. They posted a respectable 3.9% revenue growth in Q2 and 4.9% in H1. But it's not all about the overall numbers. It's about where that growth is coming from.
Exactly. It's a little bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
It's like a box of assorted chocolate. Some you love, some not so much.
Right.
2/3 of their business, like the automotive aftermarket, solar, and industrial UPS segments, saw strong double-digit growth. But the other third, including automotive OEMs, telecom, and home UPS, actually declined.
So it's a tale of two halves within Exide, right?
Yeah.
And this tells us that they're strategically using their diversified portfolio to navigate the ups and downs of different markets.
Precisely.
It's like having multiple oars in the water, so even if one market hits a rough patch, they can keep rowing forward.
Yeah, and this is particularly evident in the telecom sector, which is transitioning from lead-acid batteries to lithium-ion.
Right.
So while Exide's telecom business might be shrinking, their strategic move into lithium-ion positions them to capture this new wave of demand.
That's a great point. It shows they're not just reacting to market changes, they're anticipating them and making these moves to stay ahead of the curve. Now let's zoom in on some of those growth engines. The automotive aftermarket, especially the four-wheeler segment, was a star performer.
Absolutely. Double-digit growth fueled by a strong festive season and rising demand in rural areas. And get this, motorcycle OEM production in the first 6 months of FY25 surged by a whopping 16%. This compares to a 10% annual growth rate over the past 3 years.
Wow, 16%. That's a significant jump.
Yeah.
Now, for those who might not be car enthusiasts, this surge in motorcycle production directly translates to more potential customers for Exide's aftermarket batteries. It's like a ripple effect. More bikes on the road means more batteries needed down the line.
Exactly. And this is where Exide's extensive dealer network and their push into new markets gives them a real advantage. They're well positioned to capture this growing demand.
So it sounds like the aftermarket segment has a lot of momentum. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, was it? We also need to talk about those challenges. The decline in automotive OEM sales, for instance.
Right. This was mainly due to excess inventory in the system. Basically, too many batteries sitting in warehouses waiting to be sold.
Right.
But here's the good news. This is likely a temporary blip.
Okay.
As inventory levels normalize, we expect sales to bounce back.
So the key takeaway here is that while certain segments might experience short-term fluctuations, Exide's overall strategy is focused on long-term growth and adaptability. They're like a seasoned surfer skillfully riding the waves of the market.
I like that analogy.
Now, speaking of riding waves, let's talk about the big wave. Exide is preparing to surf their entry into the lithium-ion battery market.
They've set up a subsidiary
Huge.
called Exide Industries Solutions Limited, or ESL, and they're building a massive 12 GW capacity plant.
Now, that's what I call making a splash. It's not every day you see a company known for traditional lead-acid batteries diving headfirst into this cutting-edge technology. What's driving this ambitious move?
Well, several factors, actually. The demand for electric vehicles is skyrocketing, and that means a huge need for lithium-ion batteries, which are the powerhouse behind these vehicles. Then there's the growing need for grid-scale energy storage, especially as renewable energy sources like solar and wind become more prevalent. And let's not forget the potential for significant profits as this market takes off.
Yeah, it sounds like Exide is positioning itself right at the heart of this energy revolution.
Absolutely.
Not just as a participant, as a leader.
Exactly.
Let's unpack their lithium-ion strategy a bit further. What are their production plans?
Well, their goal is to fire up production by mid-2025 and achieve commercialization by the end of FY25.
Okay.
And here's where it gets interesting. They're not just focusing on one type of lithium-ion battery.
Okay.
They've chosen to produce both LFP and NMC cell chemistries.
So think of it like different recipes for batteries, each suited to different applications.
Exactly.
So they're offering a menu of battery options to cater to a wide range of needs. That's smart. And have they revealed any of their potential customers?
Well, they've kept specific names under wraps, but they have hinted at heightened interest from OEMs across various segments as they approach production.
So it's like they're the hottest new restaurant in town, with everyone clamoring for a reservation.
Yeah.
And how are they funding this ambitious venture?
Well, they're relying primarily on internal accruals, which are basically their profits from their existing business and loans.
Right.
This shows their confidence in this venture and their ability to manage it financially. They're not just dipping their toes in the water, they're taking the plunge.
So it's clear that Exide is making bold moves in the lithium-ion space, but they're not neglecting their core business either. They're undergoing a major organizational realignment to strengthen their go-to-market strategy in both B2C and B2B markets. It's like they're building a two-pronged attack, ensuring they're strong on both fronts.
Exactly. And they've brought in some heavy hitters, experienced leaders with proven track records to head these new divisions. This demonstrates their commitment to not just entering the lithium-ion market, but dominating it.
So what does all this mean for our listener? Why should they care about Exide's transformation?
This deep dive reveals how Exide is strategically transforming itself to become a leader in the future of energy storage. Well, they're not just surviving. They're thriving in a rapidly changing landscape, proving that even established companies can reinvent themselves to stay ahead of the curve.
It's a story of ambition, adaptation, and a bold vision for the future. But there's more to uncover. Before we move on to the next part of our deep dive, let's take a closer look at one intriguing detail from the earnings call that caught my attention: the discussion about the pricing of recycled lead versus pure lead.
Yes, that was an interesting point.
Yeah.
Exide explained that while recycled lead is generally cheaper than pure lead, the price difference fluctuates quite a bit. There's no consistent spread, which means they need to be nimble in managing their sourcing strategy.
It seems like they have a lot of experience in dealing with these price swings, which makes sense considering they've been in the lead acid business for so long.
Absolutely. And this expertise will be invaluable as they navigate the complexities of the lithium-ion market, where raw material prices, particularly lithium, can be just as volatile.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our Exide deep dive. We've looked at their recent financial performance, their ambitious lithium-ion venture, and some of the strategic moves they're making to position themselves for the future of energy storage. What stands out to you the most from all this?
For me, it's the strategic synergy between Exide's established lead-acid business and their ambitious lithium-ion venture. This dual approach allows them to capitalize on the growing demand for batteries across multiple sectors, making them a company to watch closely.
Now, here's something to ponder as we move into the next part of our deep dive. How might Exide leverage its diverse portfolio and expertise to not only meet, but shape the future of energy storage in India?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore further as we delve deeper into their strategies and the evolving dynamics of the Indian battery market. Stay tuned.
So we just finished talking about how Exide is, cleverly managing their lead-acid battery business while charging full speed ahead into the lithium-ion market. What I find really impressive is their proactive approach. It's like they're not just waiting for the future to happen, they're building it.
Absolutely. Their decision to invest in both LFP and NMC cell chemistries is a perfect example.
Right.
Remember we talked about those being like different battery recipes? Well, that choice shows they understand the diverse needs of the Indian market.
It's like they're setting up a battery buffet with something to satisfy every appetite. Can you break down those battery recipes a bit more?
Sure. LFP batteries are known for their safety and affordability, making them perfect for things like electric rickshaws, those three-wheeled vehicles you see zipping around, and grid-scale energy storage where cost is a major factor.
Right.
On the other hand, NMC batteries pack more energy density, which means they can store more power.
Right.
That makes them ideal for electric cars and buses where range and performance are key.
So it's about having the right tool for the job.
Yeah.
And speaking of jobs, it sounds like Exide is already attracting a lot of interest from original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs as they're known in the industry.
Yeah.
They mentioned heightened interest in the earnings call, even though they couldn't name names.
Exactly. That strong demand from OEMs, especially in a market dominated by global players, really shows the confidence Exide has built in its lithium-ion capabilities. It's a sign that Indian OEMs are willing to bet on Exide's ability to deliver top-notch batteries at scale.
Yeah, it's a bit of a David and Goliath story, but in this case, David has a secret weapon, decades of experience in the battery industry, and they're not just relying on past success, they're strategically setting up their production facilities for the future.
Absolutely. Their new 12 gigawatt capacity project is a major undertaking, and their choice to locate their cell manufacturing plant in Bengaluru, India's Silicon Valley, is a smart move. It gives them access to top talent in a hub for tech innovation.
It's like setting up shop in the heart of the action. They're right where they need to be to capitalize on India's electric vehicle revolution. And they're going all in, even restructuring their organization to support this new venture. Right. They've created separate divisions for their business-to-consumer B2C and business-to-business B2B markets, and they're actively recruiting top talent to lead these divisions. It shows they're serious about building dedicated teams with the expertise needed to win in the lithium-ion space.
It's not just about repurposing their old lead-acid battery teams, it's about bringing in fresh perspectives and specialized knowledge. They're really building this from the ground up, but they're not forgetting their roots either.
No, they're not abandoning the lead-acid battery business that's been their bread and butter for so long.
Right.
In fact, they've highlighted several growth areas, particularly in the automotive aftermarket and industrial segments.
They even mentioned that rural consumption was far higher than urban consumption in Q2.
Yeah.
That's good news for their lead-acid business as they have a strong presence in rural markets.
Yeah.
And remember that jump in motorcycle OEM production we talked about? That also points to a positive outlook for the aftermarket segment. Exactly. And they're also looking to expand their export markets for lead-acid batteries, which will further strengthen that side of their business.
Okay.
It's a clever two-pronged approach, growing their existing business while simultaneously building a strong presence in the lithium-ion market.
It's like having two horses in the race, each with a good chance of winning. But this dual strategy also comes with unique challenges. It must be tricky to balance investments in two distinct technologies, manage different supply chains, and cater to different customer needs.
Yeah, it definitely requires careful planning and execution. One challenge they highlighted was managing fixed overheads. Those are costs that stay the same regardless of production levels.
Right.
They're facing some pressure on their margins as they invest in building capacity for their lithium-ion business.
Makes sense. You can't launch a major new venture without some impact on your existing operations. Plus, they also talked about the volatile nature of raw material prices, both for lead and lithium. That adds another layer of complexity to their financial planning.
Absolutely. Managing those price swings will be critical to their success in both markets. But remember, they have decades of experience navigating the ups and downs of the lead market, which gives them an edge in handling the lithium market's fluctuations.
Yeah, it's like they've been training for the lithium-ion marathon by running sprints in the lead-acid market. But even with these challenges, they seem confident in their ability to manage both businesses effectively.
That confidence comes from their strong track record, their strategic planning, and their commitment to innovation.
Right.
They've been in the battery business for over 75 years, and they've consistently adapted to change. Plus, they're a debt-free company with a history of steady profits. That gives them the financial firepower to invest in growth and weather any storms.
They're not just chasing the latest trend. They're making calculated moves to secure their future in a world that's increasingly reliant on battery technology. It's like they're building a battery-powered spaceship to take them to the next level.
I love that analogy. They're definitely positioning themselves as a leader in the battery space, both in India and potentially globally.
So what's the key takeaway for our listener from this part of our deep dive?
Exide is a great example of a company successfully managing a legacy business while simultaneously venturing into a new and disruptive market. Their strategic approach, their focus on innovation, and their financial strength make them a fascinating case study for companies looking to navigate similar transitions.
It's a story of transformation, ambition, and the power of adaptation. But their journey is far from over. As the battery market continues to evolve, Exide will need to stay agile and innovative to maintain its leadership position.
Indeed. And that brings us to the next part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the competitive landscape, the regulatory environment, and the broader trends shaping the future of energy storage in India.
Okay, so we've been talking about how Exide is, navigating this exciting, challenging transition to the world of lithium-ion batteries.
Right.
But let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the competitive landscape they're facing.
Right.
It's like stepping into a bustling marketplace, with players of all sizes vying for a piece of the pie.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, you've got established global giants with deep pockets, nimble domestic startups with fresh ideas, and everyone in between. It's a very dynamic and competitive space.
So where does Exide fit into this battery battle royale?
Exide has a unique advantage.
Okay.
They're already a household name in India with a strong reputation built over decades. They have a vast distribution network reaching every corner of the country and deep relationships with OEMs and customers.
So they're not starting from scratch. They have a home field advantage, which is huge, but they're still going up against some heavy hitters, right? What are some of the hurdles they'll need to overcome to stay ahead of the pack?
Well, one challenge is technological expertise.
Okay.
The lithium-ion battery industry is highly specialized. You need deep knowledge of cell chemistry, battery management systems, and sophisticated manufacturing processes. To bridge this gap, Exide has partnered with SVO Energy Technology, a leading Chinese battery manufacturer.
So it's like they've brought in a seasoned coach to help them train for the big leagues. But technology is just one piece of the puzzle. What about things like cost competitiveness and managing their supply chain?
Right.
Those are critical in any industry, but especially in a fast-growing market like this.
Absolutely. Exide needs to produce lithium-ion batteries at a price that can compete, especially in price-sensitive segments like electric rickshaws and two-wheelers. That means optimizing their manufacturing to be as efficient as possible, getting raw materials at the best prices, and having a smooth, well-oiled supply chain.
Yeah, it's a high-stakes game, and they need to be smart about every move they make. And then there's the whole regulatory landscape to consider. The Indian government is pushing hard for electric mobility and renewable energy, which is great news for battery manufacturers.
Yeah.
But with government support, often comes government regulations.
Right. The government has introduced a bunch of policies and incentives to encourage the adoption of electric vehicles and the growth of domestic battery manufacturing. Exide needs to navigate these policies carefully to make the most of the opportunities and avoid any potential pitfalls.
So it's not just about building a great battery, it's about understanding the rules of the game and playing it strategically. Exide's success will depend on how well they adapt to this evolving regulatory environment and how effectively they leverage government support.
Precisely. They need to stay informed about any policy changes, build relationships with policymakers, and ensure their operations are squeaky clean in terms of compliance. It's a delicate dance, but one they need to master to thrive in this market.
Okay, we've talked about the competition and the regulations, but there's an even bigger force at play here, the global shift towards clean energy. This massive transition is creating a tidal wave of demand for batteries, not just for electric vehicles, but for grid-scale energy storage and countless other applications. How is Exide riding this wave?
Well, Exide clearly sees this as a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Their investment in lithium-ion batteries is a clear sign that they want to be a major player in this energy transformation. They're not just thinking about the Indian market, they're exploring new opportunities internationally as well.
So they're thinking big and aiming for global leadership. It's a bold vision that requires long-term thinking and a willingness to embrace change.
Exactly. Exide is betting that the demand for batteries will keep growing exponentially in the coming years. They're investing in the technology, the infrastructure, and the people needed to meet this demand and establish themselves as a frontrunner in the global energy storage revolution.
So let's bring it all back to our listener. What are the key takeaways from our deep dive into Exide Industries? What makes this company so interesting?
Exide is a company in transition. They're evolving from a traditional lead-acid battery manufacturer into a forward-looking energy storage solutions provider.
Right.
They're embracing new technologies, expanding into new markets, and navigating a complex and dynamic landscape with strategic foresight.
It's a story of transformation, ambition, and the power of adaptation. Exide's journey is a reminder that even established companies can reinvent themselves to stay relevant in a world that's constantly changing. For our listener, this is definitely a company to keep an eye on, as they're likely to play a significant role in shaping the future of energy storage in India and beyond.
So there you have it, our deep dive into the world of Exide Industries, where a legacy player is charging ahead into the future of energy storage.
It's been an electrifying journey. Until next time, keep those brain cells charged and those aha moments coming.